Welcome to The Chemical Show, the podcast where chemical means business. I'm your host, Victoria Meyer, bringing you stories and insights from leaders driving innovation and growth across the chemical industry. Each week, we explore key trends, real-world challenges, and the strategies that make an impact. Let's get started. Hi, welcome back to The Chemical Show. I just wrapped up a great week in Orlando, Florida with the American Cleaning Institute at its annual meeting and convention. For those of you that attend, you know that it is a busy nonstop week with representatives from the cleaning industry, whether they be consumer products companies, chemical companies, formulators, fragrances, and more. So always a great kickoff to the year, and also an opportunity to really get a pulse of what's going on across the industry, what some of the key themes are, and what some innovations are. And so that is what I'm bringing you today. So both key themes and innovations from ACI, both on stage, in press briefings, and in meeting rooms. Plus, I've got some special guests to discuss what they are hearing and seeing as it relates to the cleaning industry. That includes Jim Griffin, who is the technical director at SCT, and Ned Weintraub, who is the chief commercial officer at Noble AI. So both will be sharing some insights and innovations, so stay tuned. Now, I'm going to start with a little bit of a market sentiment because everybody's like, well, how are people feeling? Optimistic? Everybody said, oh, I'm optimistic. And what I would actually say is cautiously optimistic. And I think you see that in your business. I know that I see that in mine. And I see that as we talk to people across the industry. We're sitting here at the beginning of the year, currently the first week of February as I'm recording this. And a lot's happening. A lot of political action is taking place in conjunction with market economics, supply chains that are still recovering in some ways from some of the challenges that we saw in 2024. So what I would say on an overall sentiment is cautiously optimistic. And with that, though, I think the trends and the themes coming out of ACI would lead us to more optimism and certainly a lot of action and innovation and focus on the future. So what I'm going to talk today about is about the 5 key trends and innovations that I saw coming out of ACI 2025. The first is performance focus, right? So performance was a word I kept hearing over and over again. Companies and customers, consumers, are looking for performance and functionality of their ingredients and cleaning products. So it's a bit of this message that pricing is important, but it still has to perform. Sustainability is important, but it still has to perform. Supply chains are critical, and yet they still need to perform. So more on that, especially as we talk about some of the products and innovations that are coming out into the market currently in 2025 and heading into 26. A lot of discussion, particularly with the executive teams and on an executive panel around supply chains and how supply chains need to perform. What we're seeing is smarter supply chains and performing supply chains and shifting supply chains, not just due to tariffs. And I know tariffs are in discussion, and I think none of us really know how that's going to shake out. We've seen that people are prepping. We're prepping ahead of time before Trump took office. So definitely some discussion on supply chains and smarter supply chains. And smarter not just being around smarter technology, but just having products in the right places, understanding what it takes to potentially avoid tariffs, manage through tariffs, understanding the cost and the time, right? So we definitely saw some supply chain disruptions in 2024 that affected the time. And frankly, 21, 22, 2020, right? I have said this before, I'll say it again. The 2020s are the decade of the supply chain. There is no doubt about that. But it's really back to performance and having supply chains that perform. And in fact, one leader said from the stage, we will never get back to just-in-time supply chains, right? Too much vulnerability in that in the current business and market environments. So that is one aspect of performance. The other aspect is around a bit about sustainability. And the theme that came through is sustainability is great, but the products in use really need to perform. It's not enough that there's a green label. It's that it needs to perform and meet what customers want. So that's actually a great segue into my second key theme, which is sustainability with a small s. right? So what I mean by that is I think we're in a transitory period where we were talking for the past several years about sustainability with a big S, right? So big numbers, big targets, big promises, a lot of work and a lot of innovation along the way to try to meet that. But where we are today is about sustainability with a little s. Sustainability in practice, going back to what the real meaning of sustainability is. So, having sustainable, long lasting business models and business plans, being able to be in business and have a robust business for a long time. Connecting sustainability to consumer value, right? So, a lot of what I heard and what we're going to talk about today is around that connection to consumer value. And Chris Hyder from Clorox said this really well on the industry leaders panel. What he said was, customers don't ask for sustainability. They ask for products that help them feel safer, are less wasteful. They want to buy from a company that meets their values. So I think it's that. It's sustainability with a small s. We are shifting from the big S. In fact, in a lot of ways, there was not much discussion about sustainability. So sat in on several innovation sessions where leaders were presenting some of the technology and innovations that their companies are bringing to market. Yeah, there's a sustainability and a green component, but absolutely, it was much more about innovation. It was much more about meeting consumers' needs and the need for acceleration and support to do so. So take that as you will, sustainability with a small s. The next key theme that really came through was alignment to values, right? So there was a lot of conversation and presentation and discussion around really meeting the values that, first of all, employees, and that relates to attracting and retaining talent, right? How do we build that talent supply chain and value chain? It's about values, right? Business customers and individual consumers, right? So DSM Firmenich developed a sensorium. My first time experiencing it was very cool, multi-sensory experience. And of course, if you don't know DSM Firmenich, they are largely a fragrance house. They probably do some more things than I think they might tell me, but I think of them, and certainly in the context of ACI, it's around fragrances and the fragrances that are going into cleaning products, whether they be laundry detergent, dish detergent, hand detergent, whatever people are using, right? What I thought was really fascinating is they created 4 archetypes based on global consumer research, really seeking to understand the values, the interests, and the aspirations of customers globally. And then they created archetypes and fragrance profiles to meet those consumer values and those consumer archetypes. And those 4 archetypes were social seekers, healthy heroes, grounded realists, and brave explorers. Now, I'm not going to get into all of that. In fact, I will probably be posting their research and kind of a high-level summary on our blog at thechemicalshow.com. We will also link to it in the show notes for today's episode. And you can read a little bit more about the research that they've uncovered. And frankly, I'd love for you to go onto The Chemical Show on LinkedIn and let me know, what archetype do you think you fit into? Again, social seekers, healthy heroes, grounded realists, and brave explorers. Would love to hear from you. One of the ones that stood out for me, and it actually ties into our next theme, and I think it was in Healthy Heroes, they talked about really being interested in less wasteful, protecting water. One of the things they had in the sensorium room, which was this really cool, again, multi-sensory experience, was a hydroponic gardening because of this realization of the need to protect water. And so that really gets into my next theme, which is being less wasteful of water, protecting water. A couple of things that came out of that. Number one, I've certainly seen this all over my social media. You've probably seen this on your social media and in the news, a real concern about microplastics in water, right? And I think a lot of us attribute it to the plastic water bottles, plastics in use, right? So I see a lot of that. What I found fascinating was Croda presented some research that talked about microplastics in water. And they said their research shows that 1 1/3 of the microplastics in our global water systems are due to synthetic fibers in our clothing, right? So if you think about polyester clothing, all kinds of different innovative materials, that performance materials that do a lot of great things, and yet when they go through the laundry, they break down. And again, the research that they uncovered and that they shared stated that 1/3 of the microplastics in water supply globally are due to synthetic fibers in our clothing. That was eye-opening to me. And so protecting water is clearly a key value. It's actually a key value and a priority of ACI, but it's also across all of its member companies. And so, Croda, when they talked about this, they also shared that they've identified a biopolymer, so back to a green product, laundry additive that prevents fibers from breaking down in laundry and thereby reducing microplastics. I suspect that based on some of this, there may be other companies doing some similar things, but I thought that was pretty fascinating when we think about just this whole theme, especially in cleaning. When I think of cleaning, I do think of water, but also this aspect of protecting water and reducing water. The other piece of this around less water usage and water scarcity, I had a great conversation with Jim Griffin, who is the technical director at SCT, about this trend and how SCT is responding. So I'm going to insert part of that conversation here and let Jim share that with you in his own words. So when you think about the trends that you guys are focused on, what's your excitement? Where are you guys focusing and what products are you bringing to market to support that?
Depending on the market or depending on the application, it's, for like hand dish, it's going to be like amine oxides, but, that really don't have any Prop 65 ingredients in them. And they're the primary foamers in that. Again, green chemistry, it's one of the things that's happening all around industry. It's sort of a regulatory world we're living in now. And things like Prop 65 free has been a thing for a while.
Yeah, which is a California proposition,
correct.
But of course it affects the U.S.
Yeah,
because
it started as a drinking water standard, and here we are. So there's a heightened awareness of downstream and upstream. People want cleaner, greener type products, and depending on the brand, it means different things to different people.
Yeah, and so in addition to clean water, there's also a focus on less water
correct.
Usage, right? And so that's where we're talking before we just jumped in here. You guys are rolling out a new product that's really aiming at low or no water
correct.
Cleaning. Is that right?
Yes. The product is called Soap All Zero, and we've reimagined cleaning with solid surfactant technology. It's fully formulated. It's provided in a granule or flake form, and it's water-free. And in the case of bars, it can be pressed into bars. Okay. So that means there's no water involved. And the companies that are out there and the prototypes that we're providing are not packaged in plastic. They're packaged in compostable paper.
Got it. That's cool.
ACI defines sustainable cleaning as reduced water, reduced energy, and reduced waste. And the product that we rolled out addresses all.
I love that. So when we talk about less water, I've been in the cleaning industry and I've been around ACI for a long time, from my time at Shell and Clariant. I personally don't do laundry because my husband's the laundry guy, just for the record. But I think about laundry, I think about dish cleaning. Water is inherently part of that process. So when we talk about a water-free formulation, this is about getting it to the consumer without the use of water. Is that the interpretation?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Got it. So it can be formulated in a dry format.
Correct. It also can be used as is because the granular form, powdered cleansers are emerging once again.
Are they really?
Yes. What's old is now new.
My fifth theme that I want to share with you coming out of ACI was around balancing innovation. Sometimes we could say we're balancing innovation on a knife edge. I see it as this innovation tug of war between desires and intents, capability, product capabilities, and corporate and company and manufacturing capabilities, and speed, right? So what's the desire? Companies are desiring innovation. Companies, consumers, we're all seeking this, right? Whether it's sourcing ingredients in an evolving environment, whether it's developing and bringing out greener, more sustainable products to meet some of these other trends that I've just discussed. Think, less water usage. Well, that requires some different products. Protecting water, that requires some different products. And of course, there's this desire, and that's one part of this. The second piece is around capabilities and performance. So again, I started this conversation around themes with performance. I'm going to talk about that again because it's not easy, right? You guys know this. I know this. In fact, one of the words that kept getting referenced to is, oh, this is, this product has multifunctional capabilities, right? So the balance of this innovation capabilities is multifunctional in my lingo is code word for it is not a drop-in replacement. You should not be shocked by this. I am not shocked by this. There are no easy drop-ins, right? Part of this is it's hard to replace decades of continuous improvement and innovation in a heartbeat. I think if we look at today's formulations, they've come together over time. They've evolved. We are seeing the same thing. So the desire for innovation and new products, the capabilities of those products, right? So having to find new ways to put them together, maximizing performance across that value chain. And then the third piece is around speed, right? So it's one thing to innovate quickly. The other flip side of this and this drag, frankly, on speed that has been the topic of conversation at ACI. It's been the topic of conversation at other industry events I've been to as I talk to leaders, frankly, for the past several years, is difficult regulatory timelines, right? And the need for the EPA to be effective, the need for TSCA to be effective. We need to be able to bring the products into market that the market wants. And in order to do that, we need to be able to have much quicker regulatory approvals. They are taking, I think they have sped up a little bit from 12 to 18 months to less. But per TSCA, a lot of this stuff is supposed to be approved in 3 months, and we're certainly not seeing that. Now, again, overlaying this concern around the changes that the new Trump administration is bringing down on government agencies, including the EPA, what the effects of DOGE are, and how we're going to start reshaping. So balancing innovation is definitely a theme that is coming through when we talk about that. In fact, I had a great conversation with Ned Weintraub from Noble AI. I'm sharing part of that here with you as we talk about this challenge of timing, of replacements, of finding suitable replacements and innovations, and how AI, and specifically Noble AI, are helping companies navigate that. So here's Ned. What are the key trends that you are seeing and hearing that chemical companies and cleaning products companies are looking for today?
Yeah, there's really two big ones that are big takeaways for us. Number one is around regulatory and sustainability issues, a continuation from last year, but really a heavier focus on regulatory issues that are coming down the pike. Number one, and really understanding how they themselves, these companies, can be more proactive in avoiding risk, avoiding potential issues. And then number two is the market is heating up in terms of getting products to market. How can they get products to market faster, more profitably, and more sustainable?
Yeah.
Those are the two big takeaways.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm hearing a lot about that as well. So how does AI fit in and support that?
Yeah. The old saying, how do we do more with less? AI certainly checks that box.
Yeah.
This is a way that companies from tip to tail, from ideation all the way out to scale out and optimization, can leverage machine learning to solve a lot of these problems long before you ever have to go to a bench and do any kind of chemistry or any kind of production. A lot of these problems can be solved in a computer.
Makes sense. And I know I'm embracing AI more and more every day.
Good for you.
It is what it is. And Noble AI is obviously, it's a young company. It is an innovative company. What new innovations are you guys rolling out this year that we should be looking for?
Yeah, great question. For us, and thank you, we do pride ourselves on pushing the envelope and being cutting edge, and that's what our customers expect from us. What we're seeing are ways that, again, what can customers do better without having to hire their way out of a problem or becoming a leader. So for us, it is, number one, building products around helping them be more agile around potential regulatory issues, right? Again, becoming more proactive. And number two is really helping from tip to tail, from the first ideas of a product all the way through each step and helping where AI can insert and optimize, right? We're not replacing anything, but we are optimizing in areas that normally have not been.
And you guys are rolling out a new solution this year, is that right?
We certainly are. It's called RAIR, and it's actually spelled RAIR. RA is risk assessment, IR is ingredient replacement. And this goes to this notion of some of these companies have thousands and thousands of ingredients, certainly, hundreds and hundreds of products.
Yeah.
How can they quickly assess those formulations for potential risks so that, number one, they're avoiding those risks? And then number two, it's not just enough to tell them that you've got a problem. People don't want to hear problems, they want to hear solutions. And so our idea is not only do we tell you what the risks are, we have an opportunity then to help identify potential replacement ingredients.
Got it. And which is half the battle, right? It's
Absolutely.
easy to say what you don't want in your formulation. It's harder to find what you do want sometimes. All right. Again, some great insights from Ned Weintraub. I'm going to just restate the 5 themes that have really come through from the ACI 2025. And that is, number 1, performance focus. Secondly, a shift to sustainability with a small s. 3 is alignment to values, both employee and consumer values. The 4th is protecting and reducing water, right? And water is definitely in focus. And the 5th is balancing innovation, grants desires, capability, and speed. So that's it for me for this week. And I'd love to hear, what did you hear at ACI this year? What stands out for you? What did you pick up on? What am I missing? Shoot me an email, send me a message on LinkedIn, or, leave a message on the Chemical Show page on LinkedIn, and would love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us today. We will talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining us today on the Chemical Show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and most importantly, share it with your friends and colleagues. For more insights, visit thechemicalshow.com and connect with us on LinkedIn. You can find me at Victoria King Meyer on LinkedIn, and you can also find us at the Chemical Show podcast. Join us next time for more conversations and strategies shaping the future of the industry. We'll see you soon.